All right, so top 10 offensive tackles, and we're going to start off here. We're going to do a top 10 list. We'll start off with some honorable mentions. You have Taylor Moton, who I thought for sure would make this list, ends up being an honorable mention. There are a lot of good tackles. There's a few that I really like that I can't believe I couldn't put on this list. Lane Johnson, another guy who, he just had a couple injuries, and he typically doesn't play well when he is banged up. He only had 405 snaps last year. I can't believe I'm leaving him off the list, but again, there's a lot of good tackles. Jack Conklin, another guy who was just, former Tennessee Titan, comes over to Cleveland and was awesome for Cleveland, and current Tennessee Titan, Taylor Lewan, who was injured last year, only 239 snaps. All those guys are great. They're really good tackles, and they feel like elite level tackles that can't even break the top 10 because of how many good tackles there are in the NFL. So, again, you got to cut people off at a certain point. So apologies to fans of those players, but let's move on to the top 10 list. So starting off with number 9, I have Duane Brown, Seattle Seahawks tackle. I know people are going to joke about how could you have a Seattle Seahawks offensive lineman, their offensive line so horrible. Well, he's not. He's really good. Only 2 sacks given up last year. I think Duane Brown's awesome. And again, one of those, I feel like, with all of the awful Bill O'Brien trades he made over the years, Duane Brown might have been, it wasn't the worst. The worst was Hopkins, but it was up there. It was a really bad trade and probably should be talked about more because they got a top 10 tackle. So that's always nice. Number 9, I am going with Trent Brown right here, a guy who I can't believe I couldn't find a way to put him higher on this list. But really what it comes down to is, last year was just an odd year for Trent Brown. There's no getting around it. That is just what is the case. It was a weird year for him. I mean, I don't know exactly why things, worked the way that they did. He barely played. The Raiders eventually cut him. People said it was a work ethic thing. He reportedly showed up to camp over 400 pounds. He was also really good when he was on the field, though. So is he, going to get in his own head? He's playing for New England, so probably not, but I don't know. It's a weird situation. I still think he's a top 10 tackle. You could argue he should be higher. You could argue he should be off the list. In doing research for this video, I researched a lot of top 10s. A lot of people had him off the list altogether. I think that's crazy. I think he should be on the list in my opinion, but I get putting him lower just because of the weirdness of the situation. Number 8, we have Tristian Wirfs. Tristian Wirfs, the rookie from Tampa Bay, only gives up 1 sack in his rookie season. It was one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen, period, from at any position. I mean, it was incredible. The only reason he's not a little higher is just it was 1 year. Who knows? Maybe there's some technique that he's not great at blocking that no one's figured out yet. It does happen where someone plays really good 1 year and then regresses. I don't know if that's the case with Wirfs. I don't think it will be, but that's the only reason he's a little bit lower, but still. Awesome rookie season from him. Number 7, I am going with Laremy Tunsil right here. Tunsil, another guy who was part of a Bill O'Brien trade that didn't really work out too well for the Texans, but he is a really good player for them. Top 7 tackle in my opinion. Only gave up 2 sacks last year. Very good. And I do think it's possible that maybe he's a tad overrated. I think there's a couple guys who I think if you ask, he's maybe more well-known than he is great, but he still is really good, and you could argue elite. He's on that level. Number 6, Terron Armstead, who has been a great left tackle for the New Orleans Saints. Him on one side and another guy who we'll talk about in a second on the other side. He's awesome. He deserves a spot on this list, no doubt about it. Number 5, we have Garett Bolles, this is a very fun selection here for him because he is a guy who he had a real penalty issue. It was the constant meme of every play seems to get called back from a holding penalty. In fact, he had 17 penalties in 2019, which means that he's having over a penalty a game. So you're hearing his name said by people who wear black and white quite a bit, but he got that way down last year. He only had 7, only 3 of which were accepted. So that's a huge difference from 17. I mean, getting it that far down, I think maybe the potential concern is that he got way better, or did he get a little better and also got a little more lucky? Both could be the case. I don't really know. The other interesting thing, though, is he didn't give up a single sack last year. So when you add those on together, usually a tackle's job is to not allow pressure. and that's what he does. He doesn't allow pressure. So he's a top 5 tackle in my opinion. He really is. Number 4, I am going with Ronnie Stanley. Stanley, the Baltimore Ravens tackle who he got hurt, which then got Orlando Brown Jr., who also could have been an honorable mention. He's very good. He stepped in at left tackle to finish off that year. But Stanley, no sacks allowed in over 300 snaps. Not a ton because, again, he got hurt. It was crazy. He got paid like in the middle of the season, which usually doesn't happen, and gets hurt the next week. It was such a bizarre thing that happens. But yeah, he's incredible as well. Number 3, we have Trent Williams. Trent Williams actually gave up 4 sacks last year, which seems a bit high. It is the highest out of anybody who is on this list or any of the 4 honorable mentions I said. But again, you can't just look at numbers. You got to also watch the tape, and his tape is incredible, which is why he just got an insanely high deal. And listen, I'm not usually a fan of throwing that much money at a single offensive lineman. I don't think that's the right strategy. I do think offensive linemen, people spend a bit too much money on that as is. And, again, I have analytics that back that up. People go crazy when they hear analytics, so we won't get too far into that. But just talking about how good he is, I mean, they gave up a 2nd-round pick for him. People were kind of wondering, is that, a little bit high for someone who hasn't played in a while? Well, no. I mean, he's a top 3 tackle in the league, and he's clearly earned it. He's incredible and does a lot well, especially in that Shanahan offense. Number 2, I have Ryan Ramczyk. Ramczyk is so incredible. Again, he's a right tackle, so he doesn't get as much credit as maybe he deserves. But in my opinion, he's the 2nd best tackle in football. I don't care that you play on the right side instead of the left side. That doesn't matter too much to me. I care more about how much pressures do you prevent. And he prevents a lot of pressures and is just as dominant in the running game. So he does both incredibly well. Did give up 2 sacks last season. The year before, he didn't give up any until the playoffs when he actually did give up one. But, he doesn't give up too many sacks. He's a very great right tackle who can be good in the running game. And in my opinion, in a lot of years, in a lot of eras, he would be the best tackle in football. The issue is just who, he has to play in the same era as. He can't be number 1, in my opinion. And that's because number 1, David Bakhtiari, I just feel like he has to be number 1. He gave up a sack last year, 1 sack. So down year for him, right? I mean, he got hurt. I do think that his absence was felt in that NFC Championship game. I think that if he's there, Green Bay maybe wins. It's possible. I don't know, but it's possible. He's just incredible. And again, he can be effective in the running game, but really what he does is he just shuts you down in the passing game. And that's what a tackle's job is. Don't give up pressures. He doesn't give up many pressures. Bakhtiari is awesome. He's worthy of number 1 on this list. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think? Let me know where do you think I went wrong? Because again, these lists are all about the discussion. Let's try to keep it respectful. A big task to ask for in the YouTube comment section, I think. But, I feel like you guys tend to be pretty good with, a few bad eggs, which happens in every comment section. So definitely let me know in the comments below. Where do you think I screwed up? Where do you think I'm right on? It's always fun to talk about this stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.